Good afternoon. Valerie, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. So I want to welcome you to the Nerdy Basement. We're going to be talking about your film today, Carmen, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I want to go ahead and jump in because the film brings a lot in the table and it's really interesting of all the small little topics that the film brings. I know there's like a main plot line to bring in, but what inspired you to bring Carmen on theaters and on VOD?
Well, you're asking what inspired the story, right?
Yeah, exactly. What
Oh,
inspired
okay.
the story?
What inspired it to get into theaters was like not my job. But yeah, so I am Maltese. I was born in Malta and raised in Toronto. And I have a ton of relatives there. And I go back regularly. And back in 2013, I went there with my son to visit relatives, and I was researching another project. And my cousin, who happened to be a priest, took me to visit my Aunt Rita. Now, Aunt Rita is someone I've known existed, but I couldn't figure out her gig. Like, what'd she do? Because she always dressed in black. She never had a family. I don't think she worked. Um, uh, and she was very pious. And so my cousin told me that there was a tradition in Malta that when a man became a priest, and it was quite common that in every household there was a son who'd become a priest. His sister would go with him and be his maid. And she wouldn't get a salary or an education or have a family of her own. So my Aunt Rita did that at the age of 13. She went off to take care of my great uncle, who was a Monsignor. And then when he passed away, she was shuffled off to my uncle, who was a parish priest. And that was her life. He died, and then some family took her in for a little bit. She's 97 years old and lives in Malta in a home. She now has dementia and is bedridden. But so that was back in 2013. I held on to that story, put it in my back pocket, made a couple of other films. And then in about 2015, I just started writing
Okay.
and that script, and it was using that tradition. And in my story, in our story, Carmen breaks through. And I guess you can say it's about what if, what if Aunt Rita had a
Yeah.
chance, had a second chance, you know, yeah, that's really what it's about. It's having a second chance, taking charge of your life, finding your voice, the female voice under the patriarchy. How does that work? What do we do? Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So my next question would be, how was the filming process? Were there any challenges to film Carmen due to that the locations that we see in the film, they seem like busy areas.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question because yes, um, well, this is a Malta Canada co-production, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I wrote it here in Canada. I found a producer here. She helped Coral Aiken. She helped nurture the script. We went to Malta to find co-producers, and we met up with Pierre Alul and his partner Annika Pasella Savona. Um, and they brought in this incredible crew Malta and the cast. Like I was, it was a huge risk, right? I don't know what we were going to get. What if they were terrible? But they weren't. They were amazing, and of course they helped us. I had been to Malta enough to know various locations. So the village Santa Lucia, I knew that we had to shoot. So there's Malta, and then there's a sister island called Gozo. I knew we had to shoot in Gozo because it had to be 1980s, and in Gozo, it's not as built up as in Malta. So I knew that part, and I knew about Santa Lucia because it's one of the oldest villages
Mhm.
in Bozo. So I had found that already. And then everything else, we had a location scout, Chris Bonello and Pierre Lul, we all like found these great places. The most difficult part was the capital, Valletta, where, Carmen eventually goes to Valletta to sell her goods.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very, very dense, busy city. So shooting around the cars, like we couldn't stop traffic. It's not that kind of budget. So we had to maneuver quite, yeah, quite a bit to get there. But we were able to do it. And like I said, the crew was amazing. The cast was amazing. I guess the most difficult would have been the heat. We're talking, 42
Yeah.
degrees. And like in the church, we had to shut all the windows because of sound. And Natascha, being the kind human being she is, came around with chunks of ice and put it on the back of my neck and other people's necks and wrists just to cool us off, But we had a blast. We had a lot of fun. I
No.
don't remember the hard work, actually. I don't. I mean, I think it's like, and I love what I do, and I feel like I've been blessed with that. And after 20 days of shooting, we only had 20 days of shooting, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So we had, and a lot of locations. So it was a lot of like move, move, move. And I'm big on prep. So I prepped quite a bit, knowing that I didn't have a lot of time to get it right down to the T.
Mhm.
Yeah, but after the 20 days, I think I was horizontal for about 20 days because of exhaustion. Because I don't sleep. It's like, okay, 5 hours sleep, and like, what's next? What's next? Let's catch this light and all that sort of thing. But and you've got pigeons. Pigeons are they're they're a challenge. They're divas, man. One of them showed up with a perm and false eyelashes. It was like, after messing up with my continuity. No, the pigeons were great, and the pigeon wrangler, who happened to be my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
So
Yeah.
so being the director, the writer of the film, and as well, I got to when I entered your IMDb, I was like, I recognize this person from somewhere else. So I did dabbled in a little bit, and I saw that you were part of Titans and The Expanse as well. So you're an actress as well, and as well in the film, you are part of the film as well. How can you work being the jack of all trades?
I don't know. I think they all help each other out. Like all those trades help me out. It's like I can articulate to an actor what is needed without giving them a line read. I know the lingo with other actors. And then when I'm acting, I know what a director might need, and I don't question them. I don't challenge them. I know, like, I'm probably, yeah, I might even like help creatively with them, with the work for as an actor on a show. So I think they all it all helps each other out. And in truth, the crux of it is I just love making things. I still love to act. I'm still acting, and I'm about to dive into another film project. So I still love
Amazing.
making films, and I'm writing another project, and yeah, yeah.
So
So,
from there, I wanted to ask. So you did mention that you had a blast filming Carmen. Do you have any like great moment while filming the film?
some great moments. Oh my gosh. Um, well, there's I love it when people sing.
Uh-huh.
And I especially love it. No, maybe I shouldn't say especially love it, but I don't think a person needs to be like a perfect singer, but the vulnerability that comes through when people sing, it just cracks me open, and I love it when they crack open. So the moment when the young woman is singing Ave Maria,
Hmm.
and if we shot that live, right? It wasn't pre-recorded or anything like that, and we were all just listening to her sing, and you could see the tears on people's eyes as she's singing away. And Natasha was quite moved. We were all so moved, and that was like, it wasn't like a ha 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 moment, but it was connecting all these spirits together kind of moment. That was a beautiful time. um, oh, there's so many, sitting by the water, waiting for the light to shift, and just chatting
I,
in
I
such a
really
beautiful location.
I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that scene. I did not know that that was like live. That scene was really nice. I didn't even expected it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
She is
amazing.
a singer. She is a wonderful singer, Rachel. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem, no problem. So, this is where I wanted to go ahead. Carmen brings up many topics from religion to past relationships and as well love, because that dabbles in a little bit in throughout the film. But what you want your audience to feel when they leave the theater or their living room when they get to see this film?
There's always, you can always have a second chance at life. There's For sure, for sure. Be male or female, there's always a second chance. And if you see an elderly person on the back of the bus, or anywhere, the grocery store, just realize they have a story. They have a story. You know, yeah,
Okay. Because
yeah,
this film brings so much, because when I started watching the film, at first I thought that we were going to see like the love story of Carmen, and then through the second act everything kind of like shifts into something different in regards to her trajectory, and then at the end you see like everything pan out with all the characters that you see throughout the film and characters that interacted with Carmen. So
yeah.
everybody had like their end of their story or their start of their story. So it was really
That's
nice.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. I'm so glad you noticed that, 'cause not everybody notices it, but it's every character has an arc. Right?
Exactly.
Everyone has an arc, and that's because of Carmen's voice
Hmm.
in the confessional booth, right? So her bit of guidance there. And so what I did, and I shared this with my crew, is that everything follows Carmen. So initially, everyone's in a monochrome colors. The whole film is monochrome. And when Carmen finds her voice, which happens in the confessional booth, um, everyone shifts gears and the colors change. We use a different lens,
Yes.
anamorphic lens. We add flowers into the frame. The environment changes and clothing changes and people's
Hmm.
makeup changes. So the whole picture changes as she finds her voice, as she grows, and she starts filling up the frame more and more and more. And that helps. Well, not like the arc of the film, her arc, and all of the other characters' arcs. Like, yeah, right to the little girl with the father at the very, very
Yes.
end. It's like these details I had fun finding. Yeah, and thanks for noticing.
No,
Because you
yeah.
never know if anybody will. you know, yeah,
No, yeah, because the thing is that the first time I watched the film, I still had my questions and my doubts. And then I was like, you know what, I want to rewatch it once again. So I went ahead and sat down and rewatched the film like that I can like see what I did miss. When I finished it, I'm like, now I understand the ending, and now I understand what Carmen is in her story. She's just she's more than Carmen and her past and what she's going through. So having that in mind, I have one scene that I want to like see if you can give us a little bit much more details. Um, One of the scenes that caught my eye was that when you see Carmen do like her transition, her first transition of at least her style of hair, she passes through a lot of like I don't know what was the correct term, but a lot of like churchmen with crosses, and they all have like different robes and colors. Can you give us a little bit much more details in regards to that scene?
Yeah. Yes, that's quite common in Malta, and I think in many Mediterranean villages and cities and stuff, where it's procession of say holy men, you
Hmm.
know, religious procession, and it's all about sacrifice. And they have chains around their ankles, and they're carrying crucifix, and they've got that cape. It's funny enough, it looks initially like KKK, but it's not. It's not that. It's, you know, it's religion, Christianity, Catholic Church, and her the moment that Carmen, you know, she transitions, right? She has a
Yeah.
new hairdo, and she's feeling good, and she's strutting, and the moment she struts, the church comes in and kind of shakes her up and knocks her down a little bit. And I find that I grew up that way. It's like I
Okay.
can't. I grew up hearing the saying, "Don't laugh too hard because you're going to cry tomorrow." And it's terrible. It's a terrible way to live. And I've, you know, at the age of 105, I've grown out of it. But you know, it's like, oh my God, I'm having a great time, but this is going to go away, and that's what I brought in with that. But also, it's the church and the past, and it triggers. So that whole shuffling around through that procession triggered her memory to the past, to her lost love. And that's what helped me get into that. And then, and then Jesus shows up.
Yes, that's what I wanted to like. I just came up right now with the question. But do you think that letting it be that your character Carmen does pass as a priest, I would say, um do you think that there will be like, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but do you think that probably a partial part of the audience might feel like, conflicted of what Carmen is doing in regards of she not being like a priest or part of the church? Because
Yep.
in terms she is, because she takes care of like the priest of her brother, but in terms of what she does through the end of Act One, continuing the film, do you think that there might be like a little bit of controversial with the audience? Not all of it, but at least a portion that are like
Yeah.
very religious.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm taking it to Malta. It's having its premiere very soon, and I'm going, and I'm a little nervous about the response I'm going to get. Yes, and I've already had a little bit here in Ontario, where Maltese people are like questioning, like, you know, has the church seen this bit?
Okay.
You know, because yeah, I am pushing it a little bit as far as the church goes. Um, and you know, I am kind of separating or questioning church and religion and spirituality. What is it to be spiritual? You know,
Mhm.
what are these like? And plus, the world has to shift a little bit. You know, is there the like one line like where the Monsignor says, "Oh, you are such a good woman, Carmen. You will live in bliss," something like that. I'm paraphrasing badly. And she says, "When will that happen? When you die, of course." It's like, really? So that's it? Like there's heaven and hell, and this the more you suffer on earth, the better your heaven will be.
Yeah,
Uh,
that that
you
that
know,
scene per se got me through the heart because me being from a religious family, that is like something that is usually said, like, hey, well, then you'll everything is like falling down to me, and when will I get this chance or this bless? And then they're like, well, it'll happen one day.
When you die, of course. But yeah, that's really, yeah, it's interesting. And it's like, how much do we have to sacrifice and why? I think I believe in kindness.
Hmm.
I believe in kindness and being a good person. And I think sometimes what the church does that's healthy is it guides people. It can guide people. But if it squishes their voice and their passions and their um, bliss, then that's not so good. And so
Hmm.
even the singer that we have, who sings Ave Maria, like she, in that moment where she just sings in the church and then is shut down immediately by the community and the priest, Carmen allows her, unleashes her into a new world. And that's what she does for all those women. And then eventually for herself, even though she stumbles quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
But and it'd be nice if the church helped in some ways to guide that. Yeah.
No, yeah. I would say that this film, Carmen, brings out what spirituality should be, and what should be thrived in the future. Because that, for me, at least, me as part of the audience, say that at least I would pers- put that in perspective, like, this is what spirituality should be.
Yeah.
um and I gotta say, Carmen is a very, very touching film, even though it has so many characters, and then everything concludes in the end. Even Carmen concludes in the end because the town as well, like, accepts her, and it's really,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
is great,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So my question would be, would we see Carmen once again, or this is just the conclusion of one full story? Because we still have a lot that we didn't see in Carmen's past, even though she did mention it. But will we see Carmen once again, or is this just a one story and that's it?
I don't know, John. I never even thought of it.
Oh, amazing!
If somebody wants it, I'm ready to whip it out. But I've got some other projects in the works right now. Um, about a second life. Again, it's always about a woman finding a new life. And yeah, yeah. And actually, the next one is it's a musical. So
Okay, so
so yeah.
so
Um,
going on that note, Valerie,
yeah.
I want to give you this moment of the time, like, that you can go ahead and, I know that probably you can't give us that much details, but what can you give us in terms of details in regards of, like, your future upcoming projects? You did mention that you're writing something as well. I did see in IMDb that there is a title in the upcoming project. It's called The Fall of Grace. So, is there
Hmm.
anything you can give us?
Oh, the Fall of Grace. It was that's I don't know who puts up these IMDb's, but I'm sorry, John, but that's like an old short film that I
Okay.
made for the National Theatre School in Canada. I wrote for the students and we shot it, but I am prepping to shoot a psychological thriller. I did not write it. I'm the director only. Called The Dogs. And it's a fantastic script based on a novel by Alan Stratton. So that we'll be shooting in mid-October. I am writing a jukebox musical comedy titled
Okay.
Still Kicking, which is a lot of fun. And so that's in the works. And then I've got a project that the Maltese producers, Pierre Alul and Annika Pasella Savona, have optioned a while ago in 2019 called Oliver's Flight, set in Malta. It's a love story set in Malta during World War II.
Oh, that one I'm interested.
I think you just want to go to Malta. John,
Uh,
just go. Just get that ticket
yes,
and go.
I gotta say, when I finished Carmen, I was like, wow, this place looks so gorgeous and amazing. I just want to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where are you based? I'm sorry, I don't know where.
So I'm based in Puerto Rico. So I'm in this
Oh,
my a little small island,
yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I really do love it. If one day you come here, just enjoy the scenery and all the beaches that we have.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
So Valerie, I wanted to say thank you for giving us your time, like that we can talk about Carmen. I think that everybody's going to enjoy this film, and I know that Carmen is going to be released on September 23rd. Is going to be released in U.S. theater in theaters and in major cities on and on VOD as well on U.S. and Canada. In theaters, it will be in Cinema Village in New York, Los Angeles in the Lehman Monica, and then with exclusive engagement in Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, Columbus, and much more. And in VOD is going to be available in, I think, in all major platforms. So, Carmen, do you have any final words for us? Where can people find you as well?
Oh, they can find me in Toronto. I ride a bicycle everywhere, so you can just like knock me over. And yeah, well, that's enjoy the film and thank you so much, John.
No, thank you,
Yeah.
and thank you for being part of the nerdy basement. And like I said, everybody, September 23rd will be the release of Carmen. So check it out or pre-order it if you have to. And thank you very much, Valerie, for being part of this interview and being part of Carmen as well.